all the children, please, unless you're a 4th or 5th grader and you're playing a part over there. All the children, you're welcome to sit in these chairs. Come on over if you like. Parents can stay with you, but I trust you implicitly. Good morning, church. It's great to see you here. This church has been through more loss and grief than any other church I have ever experienced in such a short period of time. We have said goodbye to friends who've gone on to sing in the heavenly choir. We've said goodbye to friends who have moved as far away as North Carolina. That's drastic. And so today, we're focusing on tomorrow. That's you guys. And we're going to have some fun in worship. Today we will be bringing the words of Jesus to life and acting them out. So let me ask you a question. Have any of you ever had a hard day? Anybody? Nobody. Okay, me too. Hard days are the worst. Some people have hard lives, it seems like. Some people have just a really hard time getting out of bed. They just are sad. So this is a story today about how if we give part of our hearts away to one another, we can make the world happier and safer and more like God wants us to be. I want to tell you something. Look up here, all right? So some of you, and some of you back there too, at some point in your life, you're going to hear God telling you that God wants you to be a minister. And I want you to say yes. The church needs you. The church needs you. And I hope you will say yes. You have everything it takes. Everything it takes. So this morning's gospel, if we were to retranslate it into vernacular, would say, stop hoarding. Don't hoard things. Not on this earth. If you want to hoard things, hoard up heavenly things, virtues. Hoard those things because they can't be taken away. They can't rust, they can't corrode, and they can't be stolen. Are you ready to see a play? Okay, presenting. Hold on, let's call up the tablet. All right. Presenting the parable of the fabulously wealthy woman. Lights. Thank you. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Once upon a time, there was a fabulously wealthy woman. She had a vast treasure of gold coins and $50,000 bills. And she would carry her treasure with her everywhere she went. When she found what looked like a safe place, she would put down her treasure box and count every last coin and every last bill with glee and with fear that someone might steal it. The woman decided that she needed a safe place to store her vast treasure. So she looked around her house and decided that since her house was up on a high hill and had thick walls and plenty of guard dogs, excellent, it would be safe to store the treasure in her room. But as she began to tuck the treasure safely away, she felt she was not only hiding her wealth, she was stowing away her heart as well. She was certain that the treasure was safe and sound now. But while she was away, a moth came flying over the heads of the guard dogs and through the windows of the thick walls of her house, and the moth began to eat her treasure. That night, before the woman went to bed, she decided that she would entertain herself by counting her treasure. She opened the treasure chest only to discover that there were holes in the dollar bills. And when she held up her heart, it looked like this. Part of her treasure had flown out the window with the moth, and part of her heart had disappeared as well. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let's say that together. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The woman decided she would lose no more of her treasure, and no more of her heart either. So even though it was late at night, she hefted the big treasure box and walked up to a tiny room in the attic where there was not a single window and only a dull lamp to provide a little light. She thought to herself, "No moth will ever get in here." And she refolded her heart, and she put it in the treasure box, and she went to bed that night, certain that her treasure and her heart were as safe and as sound as they could ever be. During the night, a great storm came up. There was a strong wind and fierce lightning and thunderclaps and drenching rain. But the woman, she slept through it all, certain that her treasure was safe and sound. But what she did not know is that there was a leak in the roof right over the attic room, and the water poured in and soaked her treasure. The next morning, the woman awoke to a beautiful sunny day. But before she went out to enjoy the fresh air, she went upstairs to the little attic room. As she entered, she could smell the dampness of everything in the room. Then, in a panic, she opened her treasure box and discovered the $50,000 bills bore rust marks. Her treasure was soaked, and when she picked up her heart, it looked like this. Her treasure was decaying, and her heart as well. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Now the woman decided that the only thing to do was to have a safe built into the thickest and hardest wall of her great house. So that day, instead of enjoying the sun, she hired a workman to build a big, strong safe. It had the fanciest digital lock. And the combination was known only to the fabulously wealthy woman. She placed her heart into the treasure chest, and she put all of her treasure in the safe. She shut the door and whirled the combination this way and that, and pulled on the safe handle to make sure it was locked, safe and sound. And she went to bed. That night she slept more soundly than ever before. But during the night, clever thieves fed porterhouse steaks to the guard dogs. And that's all it took. They found an unlocked window on the ground floor, and quietly they snuck in the great room, and they found the safe built into the wall. One thief put his ear next to the lock and began slowly and meticulously to turn the lock, listening for the sounds of the tumblers. Now these were very experienced thieves whose ears were sensitive to such sounds. They found the right combination, and they took out the treasure box, and they filled their bags with the woman's treasure. With the box back in the safe, they closed the door and snuck away. The next morning, the woman came downstairs and she decided she would pass away the morning counting her treasure. So she opened the safe. She took out her beloved treasure chest. She lifted the lid and fainted. When she finally came to, she looked in the box. She discovered that the thief had missed one little coin that was hiding in the shadow of the corner of the box. And next to the coin, she discovered what was left of her heart. The thief had taken the rest of her treasure away, and the rest of her heart as well. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. She was so sad that she walked down to the village. As she walked, she met a homeless man who was begging for money by the side of the road. He explained that he needed food for his children. Even the smallest coin would be a great gift in his eyes. She looked at the man, and she looked at her last coin, and she looked at the little piece of heart she had left, and she thought, why not give them away? I've tried every other way to preserve my treasure and my heart, and none of them have worked. So, she dropped the coin in the man's tin cup and gave him also all that was left of her heart. The man shook her hand in gratitude, and the two of them went their separate ways. Now, many years have passed, and we don't know a lot about what happened to the woman. But one day, she was walking along the street, and she saw someone who reminded her of the man to whom she had given her last coin. She wasn't certain if it was him. This time he had a briefcase, and he looked so confident. But the man identified the woman right away. He stopped her and told her the story of how her single coin had helped his family buy just enough food to survive until he had found this new job. He told her how his children had grown up strong and healthy, and how all these years he had dreamt of someday repaying her for giving him her last coin. And with that, he reached into his briefcase and he unfolded a heart that was full and bright and healthy. And as he gave it to her, he said, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." The end. Let's stand together and sing.